So you all made it. There's about 1,700 of you. And for the last 2 years, we always sold out. So we decided to get a really big space that can include more and more people. So welcome. I know a number of you came from Australia, the Middle East, Europe, Canada. It's going to be a little hard to see, but if you've come from out of the country, could you please just stand for a moment? We can see where you came from. And if you're brand new, you've never been to Wisdom 2.0, you don't even know where you are, could you also please stand so we can just see how many people are new? Wow. And if you've been here before once, if you could please stand, if you've ever been to a Wisdom 2.0. And then, so if you've been, keep standing if you've been to 2 or more. And keep standing if you've been to 3 or more. Cool. And if you've been to 4, and that's our 4th, so that's it. So I just want to give a little introduction, and then we'll move on to the other festivities for the night. We're organizing this. We used to call it a conference, and we still do, but I've never really liked the term. And finally, a friend, Marianne, I don't know if she's here, Maniloff, had said, she's like, you know what, I don't think of it as a conference, I think of it as a practice. And I thought, yeah, that's actually it. I see it as a practice. So in what ways is it a practice? It's a practice in part because, as you may notice, we tell you very little about what's going to happen. At best, there's a title, right, of a session. Actually, I think we have Wisdom Teaching by Jack Kornfield, who's here. We really don't tell you much about what's going to happen within that. And part of why we do that is we like to allow space for something new and maybe unexpected to emerge. So unlike some events, TED and others that are very planned, everything's very structured, a successful event means that everything went just as they had planned it. We tend to take a bit more of an organic approach and allow space for things that are a little bit unexpected. And so what really matters in this is the quality of presence in which we all show up. So it's one thing to be on stage and to look out at all these people and to see 1,000 or more people staring at their iPads, engrossed with some social media or whatever that is. And it's another thing to look at 1,000 people, and 1,000 people are meeting you, are feeling you, are present, are there with you. And then the content and the quality of content that arises from the creation of that space is vastly different than the content that would come if they weren't met, if everybody was distracted and not present. So people always ask me, what's the secret of Wisdom 2.0? Why do people want to come? And the secret's really you. And to the extent that you show up, and to the extent you open your heart and open your mind. Because the content, there's so much content. You can watch all this on the web, you can watch this on YouTube, we can download all kinds of apps, and it's the information age. But what the information age doesn't really allow us is to feel somebody's presence, and to feel met, and to feel heard. So the invitation for these next couple days is to really see it as a practice. And if we're unhappy with something that's going on stage, we can look at the quality of mind. To what extent are we showing up? To what extent are we present? And like anything, most likely in the next couple days, you'll be bored, you'll be frustrated, you'll hear things you disagree with. Not everything goes as planned. And it's how we kind of deal with that and how we deal with those bit challenges that really determine much of what your experience will be the next couple days. So I was telling a friend about it. It's a little like Yoda. when Luke Skywalker was going in the cave, and he says, well, what will I find there? And Yoda says, whatever you bring with you. So we all bring stuff with us, and we try and present awesome speakers and awesome talks and awesome conversations. But it really comes back to how receptive we each are, and how willing are we to receive that information and to really take in each speaker and each presenter, such that it's not really about what's said on stage or what's said in the audience. We really try and break down that barrier. And one of the things that we've really been, what's really motivated me is to break down the different barriers in our culture. So if you look at the tech world and what they're creating online, and you look at the wisdom world and what they're doing with ancient teachings, and you think, what do these two worlds have in common? And we started this with a sense that we do have a lot in common, and that as long as we stay separate in our own little worlds, we're very unlikely to come up with the answers. And the challenges are so great in our age that it almost requires us to come together in a whole new way. So I want to welcome you, and I want to invite you to really see this space as an opportunity. And we have, if you're not very socially just inclined, as I am in some ways too, we do have a meditation room. So at any time when it feels like it's too much action, too much talk, you can always go to the meditation room. There's a yoga room, yoga glow tent. There's a mindful lounge. There's a Google lounge. There's a lot of different spaces here that you can go to. So this is actually just one space amongst many. And so I'd really encourage you to tune into your own body and to your own mind and see what is needed, and to know that we've really tried to provide you the optimal experience that you can. And I want to thank you. I want to welcome you, particularly people who've come from very far off. I was meditating last night with some friends, and I just got this image of all these parents hugging their kids and saying goodbye. And all these other people working at various companies saying goodbye to their staff and trying to explain to them where they're going and why. All these different people coming, saying goodbye to partners and children and families, and yet everybody's then coming together into this concourse, this concourse exhibition center. And what we create together is both a little daunting to me, but also really exciting to me. And so I want to welcome you, and I want to invite you into the next couple days. And just so you know that this decoration and everything that's done, we've never really done any of this stuff before. This is your first time. This is all new. And we wanted to give it a bit of a flair. And as we're working with this guy, Joe Bullock, who is helping us with it, he kept referring to this as a show. And I'm like, Joe, it's not a show, it's a conference. He's like, no, the show starts at 6:30, right? Joe, it's not a show, it's a conference. And as I look at this and I think it's a show. But hopefully it can be actually a quality show, a wisdom show, a heartful show. So welcome to the show.